Right, so there's my jig that I used to cut my nickel strips. This is the bottom of the battery I just repaired. So I cut some strips. I'm going to tack these down, let the welder charge up again, and then while I'm cutting the other strips, got my Puddles pity party there. Oh, it's hard to see. Yeah. Okay. So we are at gear 3.5. This is 0.15 millimeter nickel. And so we again verified that everything's in the right orientation, because now that I've welded the other side, now I'm welding these in series, and this takes it from a 3-volt battery pack to a 6-volt battery pack. And after I do this, I'll run the parallel lines all the way down, and then I can put the two together and put my BMS on, and we will have another 100 amp hour battery. Okay, well, I'm not going to bore you with any more of this. All right, we are moving along. It's time to tie these two banks together, two 6-volt banks to make 12 volts. So I cut a bunch of these strips. I am not laying these out ahead of time because now we're getting kind of into danger territory. So you'll see that I taped off the areas that I don't need to weld and I don't need exposure to, and I put an insulator underneath my welder to make sure we don't have any unintentional shorts. So now I can and I have a gap here so that I can fold this over top when I'm done, and then I'll have a big old brick instead of a long flat thing. Alright, I got two of them tacked together, and I've got my multimeter here. So at this point, this first bank will give us 3 volts. Second bank, 7 volts. Third bank I really can't get to, so let's just go straight to the fourth bank. I don't want to move this right now. 13.67. There we go. So we got a 12 volt, 100 amp hour battery. I wouldn't run any amps through here until I get the rest of these connections in. I'll burn these wires out. Next thing is the BMS. Okay, now we tighten her up with the fiber tape, and I had to buy a new roll because somebody decided it was a chew toy, and although he didn't eat it, he destroyed it. Don't know who that could be. And on the last battery, I had the positive lead here and the negative lead all the way over on the other side, but then when I folded it, oh shit, they were right next to each other. So I had to do a whole lot of insulating. So my positive lead is underneath all this tape here. So this time I brought the negative main lead out here, and this is what I'm going to solder my wires onto. This wire will go to the BMS, and then the BMS will go out to the battery posts, and then the positive over here will go directly out to the battery posts. So I'm going to finish wrapping this up and make my fiber tape handles that I like so much and put on the BMS. Here's my BMS wiring. So again, this battery is folded over. So this is negative main, this is positive number 1, negative number 2, positive number 2, negative number 3, positive number 3, negative number 4, positive number 4, that's positive number 4 here, and of course that's on the same, that's going to be my main positive out to the battery terminal. And we got a nice little connector here. BMS, I'm probably going to mount it like so. That way I've got a really short run to my negative main, which is right there. You know, maybe I'll pop it like right here. And I'll put some backing on it, some foam backing to insulate it from the heat of the battery cells, or insulate its heat from the battery cells. And then out there to my other battery terminal. And of course my handy dandy 3D printed soldering spool. Really like this thing. I think I got this off of Printables, and I printed it up real fast, just cheap PLA, nothing fancy. So I got my 2 different size wire on there. So here's the BMS. I got it taped down. I got a little separator underneath to keep it away from the batteries for heat reasons. Here's my thermal probe. It's stuck up under here. This is negative to battery. This is negative to power. There's my my balancing lead clips. Everything on there. The main positive is here, and the tape eater is here. Good boy. This thing is ready to, she's reading at 13.7, by the way. So this thing's ready to be put in a case. All right, yep, my negative screwed down. We'll tighten that up a bit, and get some tape over this connector. These are the battery terminals I'll be using once I get it in the case. And then there's a post underneath there, an 8mm post. Looking good. Here's my battery case. I decided I'm going to do side terminals, and then I'm going to put this 12 volt panel here. So I mounted it, you know, eyeball level, and drew out my circles, drilled pilot holes, and then I drilled a big hole. Now I'm going to cut them out manually because I know if I try to drill these holes, they're going to be off center, and then I'm going to be all mad and everything. So then we'll wire it up. Here's some 12 gauge silicone wire. It's overkill, but we'll take it from there and run her till right about there. Oh yeah. Yeah, Kevin Smith called me. He said, let's get high and teach me your camera tricks. There, we got everything hooked up. I'm still going to put a piece of Kapton tape here. I really like to cover everything. And here was a little bad planning. I got the BMS and the 12 volt system all kind of jammed into the same place. I could have moved this over toward the center, I suppose. But I put a piece of paper tape insulator here just to be safe. I tried to shrink these down. Apparently these are not shrinkable connectors, so they just kind of started cooking a little bit. And these screws made me nervous. And I had a bunch of extra lug connectors from this kit, so I just crimped them down on the ends of the screws to act as some sort of protection against the sharp point of the screw. Taped my my 12 gauge wires down here, and we have ourselves a battery. It's reading 13.6, So I've got USB, I've got 12 volt power, and I might even put a couple banana jacks here, but I doubt it. I think this is good enough. And then I got my main power, so now I will hook this up, and just like that, we have 200 amp hours. So this is my original battery. We got the charge controller. That's my bypass switch so that I can charge it anytime. And oops. I'm gonna have to got that battery cable on wrong. Apparently, it's not setting in. This is the 100 amp relay that my battery charger is connected to. So the charge controller will turn it on and off as needed, so that I'm not constantly charging the battery. You got a 100 amp breaker going to the inverter. 2000 watt eco-worthy, and this is my 50 amp charger. So charging the batteries, then from the batteries going to the inverter, and then from the inverter going to my UPS, and from that to my computer, which is half taken apart and filthy right now, of course, like half my life. This ought to solve my power sagging problem for good. If this don't do it, I don't know what. And now, just for kicks, we've got 12 volt also, if we ever need it. That's about it.